Greetings, everybody. It's Jim. Another Gen Con has come and gone, and 2024 offers a lot of insights into gaming's future and the games from the past. Today, I'm going to be giving you my special report on Gen Con 2024. So the first thing I'd notice about Gen Con 2024 is the immense number of families that are showing up. I already noticed it a lot last year, but this year it seems like it went through the roof, okay? And you can also tell that not just from the number of families there, but the types of games that were being promoted. Oh, there was a lot of new games that everybody was trying to come up with, and they are all family friendly. I mean, yeah, sure, of course, there's combat games and role-playing and stuff, but there's just a lot of family-friendly games out there. That's where the money is right now. I noticed it last year that games were going from, because of the Gen Con we went to before the pandemic, it was role playing, and then all of a sudden, boom, it went over after the pandemic to board games, and now it's even more family friendly than that. Now it affected other things other than just the types of games that people are trying to sell and buy. It also affected cosplay. Now the one thing that happened with cosplay, as we know, in a few years ago, it was the biggest rage, and it's still there. People were still dressed up, but it was actually more mundane. I don't want to say mundane, but less elaborate, let's say that, because that was a lot of work. That's what a lot of people figured out, right? It's like, okay, so now instead of making this big elaborate costume, maybe I'll just take a sword with me, or I'll wear a hat, or I'll put on a cool themed shirt or something like that. But something that was very easy and accessible to take on or off, and it wasn't too much work. Okay, and another thing was, and this is where the family-friendly thing comes in, it made everything less sexually explicit by far. I might have, throughout the entire convention, seen only 3 that I would call sexually explicit and trying to push an envelope. It's as if it just turned on a dime, because I know last year that was not the case. It was all out and about, and again, it was almost like people had something to prove, and it's like, look, somebody took somebody into the ear as a collective group and says, hey, this is Gen Con, it's a gaming convention, and we got all these kids and parents here, maybe we just stick to rolling dice, so, and I'm not trying to be a prude here, okay, because it's not, because I'd be a complete hypocrite. I mean, if it was the 80s and 90s, and I'm a young guy, and it was just all guys in the place, I would be loving to see some girl in a chainmail bikini, some booth babe, trying, because that definitely was a thing, when it was just 90% men at these places. But Gen Con has changed. It is totally for families, and that's not a bad thing whatsoever. Another thing I noticed is how elaborate some of these vendors are getting. I mean, I think there was a total of maybe 3 that had only the default company name and black letters on a white piece of vinyl that Gen Con gives you. Everybody else had something professionally done, and with printing technology, that's not really a surprise. It's really not hard to do. And even us at Columbia Games, we moved from having we actually had a tent at one time that was actually cool, medieval looking swords and shields all over it and everything. It really stood out, and part of me misses that, but at the same time, the traffic flow has been so much easier, and getting new people that I kind of like our new setup in a practical manner. But some people, like the OP Games that were right across from us, they had like 8 booths worth of space. And at the end, they actually had a setup where you could go upstairs, and on the top, play more games. There are more demos going on top there. And so as much as I wonder about the insurance level on something like that, it was actually pretty cool to see. And I just got to wonder, they were the only ones that did it. If that kind of catches on, will Gen Con start charging for second layers? It would make sense for them to do so. But right now, OP Games was the only ones that did that. Now the Chutzpah Award goes to some of these dice companies. Okay, not Chessex. They're classic. They've made their own dice for years, and they're there every year. And it's not whether or not somebody makes their own dice domestically or overseas. That's not the point either. I've made my own dice overseas custom. I made the Miasma Energy dice and the Octopus Ink dice, which are really popular. I'm really happy I made. But the thing is, there were like a dozen vendors there, all with the same dice that you could get from Amazon or Temu. Okay, if you ever heard of Temu, it's a Chinese company that's kind of like being another Amazon, only for cheaper products, right? And these dice are nothing wrong with them, but you can get them for like $2 to $3. And I get that you're marking things up, but they were selling them at $20. $20. I mean, they now granted they made it look like it was worth that much. They put it in nice wooden displays. They were wearing all kinds of cosplay. I mean, the better ones were. So they were really trying to. I mean, it was just wild that they were selling them for that much, and people were, I imagine, buying them. But there were like 12 vendors there, so they were probably competing each other too. All I would say is when it comes to dice, buyer beware on that. Make sure you're not getting suckered in just because of an excitement level. What was really great this year at the Columbia Games booth is practically everybody was there on the team from around the world. We got Kerry Mould there, Grant Dalgleish, of course, and some short, bald guy. My gosh, is that a hobbit or a dwarf? I'm not sure. Good Lord, how short am I? At least I'm not standing right directly next to Kerry, for crying out loud. Okay, and then we got Patrick McDonald, we got editor Brent Bailey, Cal Stengel. Now let me tell you about something Cal does. He runs the most famous Harn adventure that we have at Gen Con called Pilot's Gamble, and it's always filled up. If you ever see that available and a slot's there, take it. It won't be there long. Nobody gets in with generic tickets with that. Pilot's Gamble. And next to him is his son Nathan, which is great to see at the booth because he's as knowledgeable as anybody else, yet he's a young, good-looking kid, and it really is nice to get, people gravitate for him that are younger, so they don't have to talk to us old beardy gits, And there's a few people that aren't there. I think Mark Ranulph is not there in that picture. And then there are people that were there that have also visited us. We had David Munger from RPG Rundown, and speaking of YouTubers, Trevor from Me, Myself, and Die again made an appearance at the booth and hung out. Always great to see him, and he's taken off. He's got a new game coming out from a conglomeration of all his knowledge of role-playing for decades called Broken Empires, and that's coming out in about 3 weeks on Kickstarter. Hopefully I'll get a link and put it down, a pre-link, and put it down there below. You want to get notified of that one. There is no doubt about it. Just watch his channel and listen to how he talks about all these other systems, and he of course talks about Harn, so we know he knows what he's talking about. Another person that was at Gen Con that's entered the Harn World fold for Columbia Games is Maxwell Alexander Drake, and he's the author of the Genesis of Oblivion trilogy. And he's written his first novella for Harn, Carnage of Karaz. And according to the editor, Brent Bailey of Harn World, the story gave him chills, and you can't get much of a better, recommendation than that for certain. So looking forward to seeing more from Maxwell Alexander Drake writing for Harn World. And so a lot of great things at the CG booth. So let me talk about what happened at the CG booth. As you can see, we split it up into two this year. Harn World on the right and the Columbia Block War Game System on the left. Okay, last year we did all Harn World, and we noticed this, that's like I was talking about earlier. We're talking about how everything's turning into board games all of a sudden. It was role-playing games. That was the hottest thing. It was all anybody was ever doing. Now it's like board games, family board games. So a lot more interest in the Columbia Block War Games this year. We've had it in the past, but it's just a lot more this year. Part of that is also because we had the free video game to give out. Normally we give out a free map of Harn World, which is like gold because it's the only place we give the physical map for free. We give the PDF away all the time, of course. But we gave Julius Caesar, a full working version of Julius Caesar for free. That was pretty nice. Things I like about having an exhibitor's badge is being able to go through the exhibitor's hall an hour early before the doors open, right? And part of it's just to stretch my legs and get that energy drink walking through me. I mean, it's an hour long. In an hour you can go through the whole thing and just make it to the end, right? If you're looking around. But what I'm really looking for is companies that I could have some marketing synergy with. Okay, Columbia Games is really marketing gold because we have such a tight-knit base, whether it be Harn World or the Columbia Block War Games, we got people ready to listen. And even though I can't give it away for free, even if somebody does know what they're doing marketing-wise, they might not be a great fit. Right, so I got to be careful, but I did find some leads. I mean, I've got guys that I'm talking about making Harnett coins. I've got another gentleman he makes medieval warships. So seeing something like Cal Stengel's Pilot's Gamble, which takes place on a lot of ships, that would be awesome there. Now, I came up with a heretical concept when I went through the halls of Gen Con, and that was about promoting other systems. Now, it does seem heretical because of the fact that we have Harn Master. But the thing is, Harn Master's a niche. I mean, we got people that love that system. But the thing is, Harn World, we know, is a generic, system agnostic setting, right? Dungeons and Dragons use it. Savage Worlds use it. Fate use it. GURPS, go ahead. I mean, the list goes on. But yet, I was thinking there are certain games out there that really lend themselves to Harn World, right? If you like this system, you are more likely to just kind of go right into Harn World, and we would love to have them. So I started talking to people at Gen Con, and here's what I came up with. I'm going to be working with the guys at Chaosium to promote Pendragon. I mean, Arthurian Knights, what's not to like? And I was reading this on the way home, and there's two takeaways that I got. One, I love the Virtue Vice system that they got. I'll be going over that. But also, I believe this is easy enough for most teenagers, which is exciting. It doesn't mean it's not deep. It just means it's really easy to jump into, in my opinion. I'm really excited about this one. And then, of course, we have from Iron Crown Enterprises, the cool guys over there. We got Rollmaster. Other than GURPS, I can't think of another system that I've gone through that has such deep character creation process. I mean, you can go through a lot. And when I'm talking about, one thing we all know as game masters, if you unless you have one system and that's all you ever use, a lot of us, tweak and take from little bits and pieces. This is a book you're going to be taking some things out of. I'm going to be going over this with you. This is like you might use it all, but you're going to find a few things that you would like for your campaign. I'll be going over that. Another one is Trevor, for me, myself, and Die, has gone out with Broken Empires, which is going to be on Kickstarter soon, in about 3 weeks. And he, with his vast array of knowledge throughout the years, has done what most of us, and just like I said, he's probably taken something from this, and he's taken from column A, column B, column C, and he's made Broken Empires. So from what I've heard from Trevor, that this is really something that people in Harn would love to play. So I'm looking forward to that. And the last one is Chivalry and Sorcery from Britannia Games Limited. I'm really looking forward to that one. I've already seen that. It was up in I've seen some of it because Grant had a copy of it in Washington. I've got one being sent to me right now. I'm ready to get diving back into that one. So 4 systems right there. And of course, what am I thinking? I mean, in the Labyrinth from Steve Jackson Games, the Melee system. Definitely one as well that I'll be going over. I've already gone over that and said it, but I'm going to go over it again. So talking about a few vendors before I go, I mean, Catalyst Games, the guys that make Battletech, and Shadowrun, I mean, they had a big footprint there, about 12 booths worth. And Michael Stackpole was there, and I wish I would have gotten an autograph with him. One of the writers for some of the Battletech books would have definitely loved to, or books, the fiction. Because I'm not an avid reader. I mean, I've read Isaac Asimov like crazy and Frank Herbert, the guy that makes Dune, right? And you think, well, those two guys, you read those, but you don't read anybody else? It's like, yeah, I'm just not an avid reader, but those authors that I do like, I dive into, and Ray Bradbury is another one. But I mean, yeah, Michael Stackpole for gaming, and I really wish I would have gotten an autograph from him. But the thing is about Catalyst Games, at one point, they were actually stopping people. They were making a line. They wanted to generate a line, right? And just let people come in the shop. They were actually, only so many people were allowed in there because they had it cut off. And they said only so many people can go through there at a time, which I thought was kind of weird because at the same time, it's like, how much business are they losing? Is everybody really going to stick in line? Or they can just say, oh, I'll come back later, and I don't know. I mean, and by the second or third day, that practice was abolished. Okay, so I made a note of it on the first day, and I did a video on it, but then it looked like that went away. And it wasn't just to meet Michael Stackpole, because he was there greeting people to come on in, but I mean, there was another time he wasn't there, and they were still trying to do that. So I don't know what the strategy was on that completely, and I think they abandoned it, and I think it was probably a smart idea. If they were looking for any kind of control or upselling or something like that, they were probably losing more money not having people just walk on in and get their stuff. Another note on Battletech, by the way, there are rumors that, and I've seen some there, they've got some painted miniatures for mechs, because I hate painting. It drives me nuts. I just want a game, and I don't like plain blank miniatures either. I mean, I would rather just have them painted. Come on. But they have some that they've shown that are painted, so there's some hope on the horizon that some painted mechs will be in the future. Maybe I'll get back into BattleTech because I love this. I love the world setting. I absolutely do. Call of Cthulhu had a great another footprint that was just as big as Catalyst, and even bigger because they actually had a room to themselves in the main hall that was just for role playing, obviously, mainly Call of Cthulhu, but also basic role playing and Pendragon, no doubt about that. Kristen Looney from Looney Labs was in the corner, as she always is. The guys that make Flux. Having fun. It's a good corner booth. It's a good one to have at Gen Con because there is space before the vendors show up again. So there's you are the only thing to look at as people are going around the corner for a little while. So that's nice. But they look like they were having fun. And speaking of talking about Flux, then the easy transition is to go to Steve Jackson Games, the guys that make Munchkin. They have smaller space, or at least it feels smaller because their setup is kind of sparse. I mean, it's a complete 180 from what they used to have. They used to have 8 booths long, and there's just big bookshelves filled with GURPS books, Car Wars, everything, all so much physical product. And I almost have to wonder, how much has the PDF market changed Steve Jackson Games? So I don't know what their sales are like, but I do know that, in the physical versions, but I do know that, all their GURPS books would go in and out of production and stuff. Some would go out of stock and come back. And I heard some rumors that actually GURPS was going to make another comeback, a new edition soon. And I would probably like to see, more world books again, all of them just come right on back. All right, the last vendor I want to talk about is a mystery to me. Basically, they've been there for years in the same spot, have this elaborate setup with all these glass display cases of some beautiful Zonkin miniatures. And they're really threatening looking, unlike maybe Games Workshop, which is a little bit too over the top, where it can seem cartoony. They really have a great feel, but at the same time, I've never heard of their game outside of Gen Con. Not once. How can they afford to keep going to Gen Con? I mean, maybe it's just popular in another country. Maybe it's a German game. I don't know. It's written in English. So I'm looking at the website right now, and it's a cooperative game, and it's called Kingdom Death. Have you heard of it? Let me know in the comments below. Not because I want the algorithm to go notice me. It's because I really don't know anything about this game that anybody plays it. I'm not necessarily interested in getting into it myself because I just don't like painting miniatures, and it seems like it's pretty involved. You're going to be sinking a lot of money into it. Maybe that's the point. It's so expensive, only 5 guys get it. Maybe Elon Musk is a customer. I don't know. But have you heard of this game, and what do you know about it? Let me know in the comments below. Guys, thank you so much. I've been talking about Gen Con all day, and I'll see you next video.